All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tear into the conceptual album Thunder in Her Bones. But we're not just looking at it as a bunch of songs. No, we're going to explore it as this incredible modern myth. A myth all about what it takes to reclaim yourself after you've been completely broken down. It's a story told through fire, through storms, and through the endless open road. And this quote, this is basically the thesis statement for the whole thing. This one powerful idea from Janet Fitch really sets the stage. It tells us that real transformation, it's not gentle. It's not easy. It actually requires a kind of destruction, a burning away of who you were to make space for who you're meant to become. We're going to see this idea pop up again and again. So, this is the question that beats at the very heart of the album. And it's a question, let's be honest, that many of us have probably faced in one way or another. The album doesn't really offer any easy, simple answers. Instead, it gives us something way more valuable, a kind of mythic map for how to navigate that exact process, how to rebuild from the ashes. Okay, so our journey starts with Act 1, the crucible of fire. And this is the idea that profound change doesn't start with some big event out in the world. Nope. It starts inside with a necessary internal fire. What's so fascinating is how this album redefines fire. It's not just this big, scary, destructive force. It's more like alchemy. The source material calls it an inward crucible, where your pain isn't the end of the story. It's actually the fuel. It's the raw material you need to forge a stronger, more real version of yourself. And you can see this concept come to life so brilliantly in the lyrics. Just look at Phoenix Mouth. I've been swallowing fire since I learned to speak. That line reframes pain, right? It's not an injury, it's a source of power. Then you get the absolute agony in burning down, this idea of just setting yourself on fire for someone who doesn't even notice. But, and this is so crucial, it all leads to this powerful, defiant rebirth. I got Phoenix in my mouth. I ain't ever done. The fire doesn't destroy her. It becomes her. And that leads us right into Act 2, the storm of revelation. So after the internal fire, an external force shows up. It's where the chaos in the world suddenly mirrors the chaos inside, and it brings this terrifying but absolutely necessary clarity. So in this story, storms aren't just bad weather, they are agents of revelation. I love that phrase. The source material even calls them a moral earthquake. You know, an event so huge it shakes your entire world and clears away all the dust and denial, forcing you to finally face truths you've been burying. It's that moment of reckoning you just can't run from anymore. The lyrics here really show the two sides of the storm. On one hand, you've got this almost mystical idea of learning from the chaos in Ask the Storm Where It Goes. But then there's the raw, overwhelming power of I'm a flood, baby. But check out that last line from Phoenix Mouth. This is the big shift. The thunder isn't just an outside threat anymore. It's been brought inside. I got thunder in my chest, where your love used to be. Wow. She's not just surviving the storm, she is becoming the storm. So this brings us to the final act of this whole myth, the road to freedom. After being reshaped by the fire and getting that clarity from the storm, our hero now starts a physical journey that perfectly mirrors her internal one. Now this is super important. This journey is not about running away, it's a pilgrimage. The source explains that in this Southern Gothic world, choosing to wander becomes a moral choice. It means you are actively choosing the hard path of truth over the easy path of comfort. And the landscape itself, the highways, the desert, the badlands, it becomes a character in the story, this silent witness to her quest. And man, you can feel that restless spirit so clearly in these lyrics. Comfortable ain't the same as free. I mean, that line just perfectly sums up this entire choice. It's an active rejection of a life that's safe but feels like a cage. And it's not an easy journey. Not at all. Her feet are bleeding, the road is long, but it's absolutely necessary for a Badlands heart that refuses to be tamed. Okay, so we've got these three massive elemental forces: the fire, the storm, and the road. Let's tie it all together now. How do these things actually combine to forge a brand new self? Well, the album's narrative gives us a character named Mara, and she basically embodies this whole myth of reclamation. Her story is what makes all these big abstract themes feel real, tangible, and deeply, deeply human. The power here is just in this stark contrast. Just look at this. On the left, you see who Mara was: dimmed, small, silenced, a victim of her circumstances. But on the right, You see who she became. And notice, she doesn't just overcome the fire, the flood, and the thunder. She claims them. They become her identity. I am the fire. I am the flood. I am the thunder in my own bones. That is a complete and total reclamation of power. So when you boil it all down, the whole myth can really be broken into these 3 essential steps. First, you have the burn, that internal process of letting the old you be destroyed. Second, the reckoning, the external storm that forces you to see the truth. And finally, the pilgrimage, the active physical journey of building and then living out that new, reclaimed identity. And I think this is the ultimate takeaway. This album is so honest. It doesn't offer some neat, tidy, happy ending. Instead, it offers what the source calls a lived promise. This gritty, realistic hope that even after the absolute worst fires and floods, a self can be reforged. And not just to survive, but to become fierce and luminous anew. I love that. So I want to leave you with this final thought, turning the album's central question back to you. If you were to listen to the chaos, the storms in your own life, not as something to be afraid of, but as messengers of revelation, what truths might they be trying to show you? What new path might they be clearing for you?